a.m. on the West Coast. You're talking about, this is the border town of Zahedan, where there's been a lot of meetings between the Iranian government and the Pakistani government for mutual security, mutual cooperation, border evacuation exercises and rehearsals, one way and the other. We'll get back to Zahedan. The prisoner of Zahedan maybe is Khamenei. So anyway, we'll get back to that in a second. But what we're talking about is people, I think, will become aware of the fact that Israeli defense forces and their associates and confederates and compadres and proxies are currently in Tehran right now doing drone attacks, decapitation strikes. Israel has stopped doing decapitation strikes from the air, but I think you're going to find that their special forces currently is on the ground. I'll show evidence to support that, and doing decapitation strikes with local drone attacks in Tehran. I think Khamenei, you'll see, is still relying on courier services, much like Osama bin Laden relied on courier services. And there's an air gap, so he does not have electronic communication signatures and so forth. There's an air gap that's protecting his life, but he is still in northeastern Tehran, I think you're going to find. So what this article details is what are the most likely evacuation routes. I think I'll detail the various generals that have died in the chain of command here, and who the key generals are that are tasked with the evacuation program. But we focus on two airlines, the Pakistani airlines that fly in and out of Islamabad to Tehran, Mashhad, and various other major cities. Why do we focus on Pakistan? Well, that's who the agreements and meetings, mutual security meetings, have been with. This is a long-standing 30-year relationship, training pilots, Pakistani pilots, Iranian pilots. Actually, it goes back maybe even longer than that, at least since 9/11. So there's been this long agreement for uranium enrichment since 1998. There's been this long agreement with bio agents that we've talked about from Faisalabad. So we expect, and then there's the escape route of Al-Qaeda from Afghanistan and Pakistan to Tehran in the reverse direction. We believe all of these things are metadata to show that the evacuation route of the government in exile, as these decapitation strikes occur, this is the direction it's going to go. Now, everyone is saying Hatami, Hatami, Hatami. And we'll get to Hatami in a second, General Hatami, who's been a part of this evacuation meetings. But I just wanted to show the key airlines first. We'll go to the, I talk about how PIA, Pakistani Airways, International Airlines, reestablished the service to Mashhad. Now this has been suspended, but we expect this to restart in July for the rank and file government for their evacuation. Here's Khamenei tweeting out this morning, congratulations to our Iranian victorious forces. The U.S. regime had to come in because we were beating the Zionists, we were beating Israel. They achieved nothing. Of course, we believe that this account here is not actually in. Khamenei's not actually tweeting this. It's being tweeted by a military aide that's with Hatami. We'll show you that here in a second. Various folks have looked at the Monkey Works traffic as far as the Chinese traffic. Some people are saying some of the high command is going to China first and then from China to Islamabad, and that could very well be. We're watching the Monkey Works traffic, and so we'll definitely watch this. But again, this is the big idea here, that the flow of officials from Iran will recapitulate the same flow that they did with the uranium with the Iran nuclear deal, as well as with the centrifuges with AQ Khan. It's the weapons pipeline. Basically, it'll travel the same weapons pipeline as the last 30 years. The people will travel the same pipeline as the weapons. And again, we show the receipts. Here are the security agreements. You can see it was the 26th and 27th of May. We had the head of government summit in Tehran. This is President Pez, I call him the Pez dispenser, the President Pez, the Pez dispenser. He's the dispenser of all knowledge in Iran, right? And then Sharif, right? So you have these two heads of government meeting to eliminate terrorist safe havens and insecurity along the shared frontier. Is that really what it is, or did they expect that the war is coming and there could be regime change and they would need to have the exile government close to the border so they could quickly go over the border as a safe haven? And it centers around this border town of Zahedan. You can see that they started the meetings in January 2024. They had more meetings in 2021. They had more meetings in 2018. They had more meetings in January of 2025. But you can see here, the general staff is the people that are involved here. And the chief of staff, as far as the army is concerned, is involved. Now, you may see this General Munir for the Pakistanis conducting the meetings, and then this General Bagheri. You may remember Bagheri was killed in the early stages of the Iran war. You say Hatami, Hatami, Hatami. The Hatami gun took his place. We're going to get to Hatami in just a second. We think maybe there was an assassination attempt, successful or unsuccessful, yesterday in Tehran by the Israeli Defense Forces. So we'll keep you posted on that. But you can see here, they're under the guise of religious pilgrimages is why they've spent so much time here. Yeah, they're real concerned at the end of May 28, 2025, about religious pilgrimages. That's why I put the minarets and mosque behind me. They're real concerned. They're even so concerned they met in June of 2025. They were really worried about narcotics traffic. They weren't worried about Dawood Ibrahim making billions of dollars as an international drug dealer, but all of a sudden in early June they got very concerned in order to have this meeting. They were even so concerned that they had a meeting after Hatami, after the chief of staff of Bagheri was killed, and this is the key metadata to say, hey, the plan is still in place. Even though Bagheri's dead, the Bagheri plan, which Hatami took over, is still in play. The border town of Zahedan, you may remember the series of Harry Potter, The Prisoner of Zahedan. I know it's a different name, but you may as well think of it as J.K. Rowling, not J.K. Rowling, but whatever her name is that wrote the Harry Potter series, The Prisoner of Zahedan. They're really all prisoners of Zahedan, are they not? Really, aren't they all prisoners of Zahedan right now? So again, we believe that Iranian and Pakistani rehearsals have occurred. There are the meetings from May 2025. So this is not something that they're talking about, maybe doing. This is meetings that are occurring, right? These are meetings that are occurring. The key airline, we believe that if they're going to skip Zahedan, this is an intermediate step, we believe that the government will go to Mashhad first, eastern, that's more out of the range of the Israelis. They'll go to Mashhad first. Zahedan will be a secondary step, but we believe it'll be Peter Strzok's airline, the COVID airline, the super spreader airline, Mahan Air again, the Peter Strzok airline. And if you may remember the Al-Qaeda folks all going to Tehran with Osama bin Laden, this is just basically reversing the flow from the original Al-Qaeda leaders after 9/11. So that's, for all these reasons, we believe it's going to recapitulate that direction. Israel yesterday confirmed secret operations on the ground in Tehran yesterday, that there after the speech, I think after the speech given by Bibi Netanyahu made it clear that they're not stopping. They're just changing tactics. You're just not going to see it as publicly, but the drone attacks from the ground are happening in Iran as we speak. And I think that is a fact, Jack. So good morning. Hello from Texas. Hello from Tejas. Um, uh, yeah, and then irrelevant from other irrelevant postings. So here's the key route. This is the old PIA route. You see how you have to fly around Afghanistan. Here's Mashhad. This is as close as you can get to the border, away from the Israeli attacks, and still be within land travel to Tehran. Once you make this decision to go down here to Zahedan, you're really out of the picture. You're really thinking, hey, the overthrow is happening, the replacement government is happening, and then you fly the rest of the distance. You may remember that Osama bin Laden flew this same route and had a place in Abbottabad. And we think the traditional headquarters of the Pakistani ISI would be where the government will be seated, not necessarily in Islamabad, but where the father of Imran Awan was, in Rawalpindi. This is the traditional old capital of Pakistan, and the head of Pak ISI will be in Rawalpindi. Why Rawalpindi? Because they have these barracks there from the old days that are ready for inhabitants, and it's secret. And the exile government could work out of Rawalpindi. That's where Abbottabad is nice for cadet school, but it's only can hold a couple of people. The old Osama bin Laden. Rawalpindi barracks, we believe, can hold the whole government in exile. There you can see the flights going in and out. You can see that really only flights going in and out are from China right now. Mahan Air is doing these flights to Beijing. This is the Peter Strzok Airlines. This is Super Spreader Airlines. They're going to both Beijing and Guangzhou. So this could be the circumventing route. They could be sending the leaders one by one or two by two to China and then back to Islamabad. But we believe Rawalpindi will be where they end up. And here's a simultaneous sip for Scott Adams for his health and hopefully his quick recovery from cancer. That's for you, Scott. So Mahan, the Peter Strzok Super Spreader Airline, is in play. And now they didn't write up a lot of articles about the joint agreement in May and June of this year between Pakistan and Iran. But I just wanted to show you the connections to Bagheri and Hatami, just so everybody can see that this is not speculation in any sense. Here's General Bagheri right here, having the meetings, the cooperation meetings in January. You can see that they even met with the prime minister. You can see Bagheri was killed in the first wave attacks on June 13th, and he was chief of staff to Hatami. So you can see these. This is the death of Bagheri. But you can see here it was very much around the testing of missiles, the launching of missiles, and this has always been, these groups have always been cooperative in ballistic missile technology as well as technology regarding nuclear weapons. Right? We do believe that the flow will be in the opposite direction to bring in Iran's nuclear-tipped missiles as a potential way of keeping the regime in power. So we'll be looking at that closely. But you can read here about Bagheri's meetings. This is the same Bagheri, and you can see here the meeting agreement was signed by General Hatami, Pakistani's minister. He was only a brigadier general in January, but you can see quickly, here's Bagheri, now dead. But you can see where I say all eyes on Hatami. Hatami was promoted to Major General here in May at the end of those agreements after the death or murder, however you think of it, of Bagheri on June 13th. Okay, when when Bagheri was killed. We believe an assassination attempt occurred yesterday on Hatami, the Tommy gun. We don't know if it was successful or not, but we believe Israeli Defense Forces. We believe that the real military is being run by Hatami in Tehran, and military couriers on motorcycles, just like Osama bin Laden, are being used to run handwritten messages and type messages to the Ayatollah in his bunker in Tehran. We believe that it's kind of like crossing the Rubicon. Once Ayatollah leaves Tehran, it's sort of like Elvis has left the building, and that's when the government pretty much has to go. As soon as people see the Supreme Commander leaving, that's when everybody leaves. He's got to stay in Tehran to have some semblance of a government. And Hatami, we believe, is the guy who is going to be targeted. Hatami knows he's targeted. The Israelis know he's targeted, so this isn't nothing new. I'm not endangering Hatami's life here. So this is the 25th. This is what happened yesterday. We believe that they're going to use the ceasefire to try to get some commercial traffic in and out. Peter Strzok super spreader airline, the Mahan Air, could be add some flights into Mashhad. We believe there's a ground route to Mashhad because of Israeli potential taking the planes out. There's more warning if they leave on a commercial flight from Mashhad. That's why we believe that Mashhad will be the point of disembarkation. You saw that the Major General Sadmani yesterday was confirmed. He died after a long illness. You'll see that Israel also came out yesterday and acknowledged that there was commando operations inside Iran during the 12-day war. We believe that situation continues till today. And then there is always the Dawu Ibrahim, who is a billionaire with dark jets. We've talked about the Eclipse jets, the Eclipse aviation jets. We've talked about the various fleet of Eclipse aviation drug-running jets with the Haqqani encrypted network that Dawu Ibrahim had. Again, this was the same network used for the development of the nuclear weapons and the bioweapons. So why wouldn't you use this for the government evacuation? More is happening in Paris with the son of the Shah, talking about the overthrow of the clerical rulers and regime change. And there is Reza Pahlavi yesterday, on Monday in Paris. And so we believe that outreach and appeal to various groups that are being recruited in Tehran is occurring as we speak. So we'll leave it right there. Thank you for reposting the stream. Sorry to come at you so early in the morning. I've gotten a warning already on YouTube. They want me to take a class to explain how Senator Warner is always right when he does, and they want me to take a class to find out how Scott Pelley of 60 Minutes is always right when he tries to take away my free speech, even though he just gave a speech about free speech, and he's the largest hypocrite in the area of free speech because he's the only one who's come out in the media and said, let's use Section 230 to take people's free speech. So it's exact opposite. His actions are the exact opposite of the speech he just gave at Wake Forest. So as Alicia Page learned Farsi, she was born in Iran. That's where she learned her Farsi. Lisa Page didn't learn Farsi. Her mother is Iranian. That's her mother tongue. That's the whole reason. Peter Strzok learned Farsi, grew up in Iran, but his Farsi isn't as good with no accent as Lisa Page's Farsi. Her Farsi is damn good. So Of course, Nellie Orr and so forth. We talked about that. We're going to leave it right there. It's early morning edition, but I had a lot of the folks in Europe wanting more information, wanting more background on the article. And so there you have it. Thanks for joining, and we'll have more for you as the government, the Iran government, is on the run, we believe. And we'll look at the metadata to show that. The key is going to be the secret forces, the special forces, and how effective they are in assassination and decapitation in Tehran. That's the name of the game at this point. Thank you very much for joining.